Hey, what's going on? Daniel from these seven C's. I'm on the road, hanging out with the fam. It's one of my favorite things to do when I have some time off. But just wanted to kind of show you the latest knife to come into my collection. This is a staple in my rotation. I've had several of these. This is the Oz Roosevelt. Now, I think this is like my fifth one. I did like a short video I put out yesterday, just kind of showing it off. But I think honestly, this is by far my favorite configuration. This is an absolute stunner. This is the radial. I've had the radial before. Well, actually, let me think. I've had the radial frag acid wash, and then I had the radial acid wash, and then I had the mag milled like dark wash, and then I finally got this guy in. Now I don't know what the name of this finish is, to be honest. I think it's like a bright wash, if anything. Like, I don't know, Phil. Yeah, it's like very shiny, very slick in the hand. And I gotta say, this is by far my favorite configuration. I think it looks stunning. It feels good in the hand. Just an absolute beauty. I love this radial pattern. I would say this is like my second favorite pattern. My first one would definitely still be the mag milled, but this is a close second, and this is just a phenomenal knife. Honestly, I don't really have much else to say about this knife that's not already been said either by me or other knife enthusiasts out there. This is become an iconic EDC for a lot of us, that's just looking for just a top tier USA made EDC. I mean, you can't go wrong with the Roosevelt. Now, people either love it or hate it. You know what I'm saying? I love it, but I think one of the reasons why some people don't like it is because of how it looks. Definitely not the prettiest knife in my collection, but honestly, everything else really makes up for that. This feels super good in the hand. The action is just so addictive. And they have this double ball detent system going on, and it's just so smooth, so easy to do that kind of that spidey flick. I could also slow roll it. I could do like a pointer flick. I mean, it's just multiple ways of opening this knife, even though it's really just this thumb hole situation. But man, it's easy to deploy, easy to close. The performance is just top notch. I mean, I have a lot of other knives in my collection, but man, every time I'm using this knife, it is just such a joy to use because it just goes through material like nobody's business. This really this tall, full flat grind, it just goes through material like laser. It's amazing. The acoustics are not good, not bad. It's good. It's cool. It's very very slim. Very just a small footprint in the pocket. It's not a big knife. I think the blade length is maybe 3 or sub 3 inches. But honestly, with the EDC kind of task that I do, that's plenty. And I love this forward finger choil. It just locks the knife in my hand, no problem. God, the craftsmanship is just top notch. Blade is centered. I mean, it literally has everything that I'm looking for as a knife enthusiast. I've handled knives in the plus sub it's the plus $1,000 range. I have knives in the below $1,000 range, and honestly, this easily runs with the best of them. That's why I've had so many of these come through my collection. And every time I let it go, whether to trade or to fund something else, as soon as it leaves my hands, I'm like, man, I want to get another Rosie back into my collection. So I don't know why I keep doing it. I should just keep it, to be honest. But you know how it goes, right? I think the fun part of being in the knife community is just that trading, selling, buying aspect. Being able to connect with cool people and just talk knives and just I don't really have like real life knife enthusiast friends like in my community. So really, the only time I could talk knives is really with y'all. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this has become just a staple in my collection for a lot of reasons. It's interesting. Like I am starting to see a lot of clones. In the knife swap Reddit page, and it's not like they're trying to pass it off as real. They are saying that these are clones, and definitely, of course, it's gonna be a lot cheaper. You're not gonna get the same, I think, craftsmanship, quality, materials as you get with the real deal. But I'm not 100% against clones. I would say that it definitely does hurt the knife company and the knife makers. A lot of these guys, like Oz Machine Company is a small outfit. It's a small American knife company. So for that reason, I know like clones definitely hurts their business. But from the knife enthusiast side, if you're looking to try a knife like the Roosevelt and you're not in the place to swing like $800, then I say like try getting a clone, and you could get a feel for the knife in terms of how it feels in hand. Of course, you might not get the same action, the acoustics, and the materials. But I think if you just want to get an introduction, right, then I'd say like try out the clone, and if it checks all your boxes, then that the real deal is just gonna be that much more awesome, right? And so that would be the only reason why I would. That I'm not, that I'm okay with clones per se, but it's from the user perspective more than from the maker perspective. I could definitely see why makers and knife companies are like, not cool with it. And I totally agree. They're stealing their intellectual rights, their design. And, if I put my hard-earned money and time and sacrifice behind a product and I see another company just ripping it off and selling it for like 10 times cheaper, yeah, man, I'm gonna be kind of pissed myself, but again, from the end user perspective, again, these are not cheap knives, you know what I'm saying? And when I started off in the knife hobby, I was rocking the Spydercos, the Benchmates, and nothing wrong with that. Those are great EDC options. And I thought, man, at that time, paying $100, $200 on a pocket knife was just like mind-blowing to me, right? So when I would see knives like Chris Reeve knives, or Hinder knives, or Strider that were like in the $500, $600, $700 range, I was like, there is no way I'm gonna ever drop that kind of dime on a pocket knife, right? Fast forward like 10 years later, I'm dropping that kind of dime. You know what I'm saying? So this is a slippery slope. So depending on where you are in the knife kind of journey, you might just be starting off, or you may just be, you've been in this game for a while. The Oz Roosevelt is definitely, they deserve their accolades, man. They're doing everything right. They're not cutting any corners. They have a really good community around them. Really just solid folks. The knife maker, I've never talked with him personally, but from the interactions that I've seen online, seems to be a really solid dude. Just someone that has character integrity. But again, like I said, I've never interacted with him. But yeah, like I would say, like, depending on where you're at, you might be kind of ready to jump into this kind of tier where, you'll be dropping several $100s on a pocket knife. This is a great option. I think another great option would be like Koenig knives. To me, Koenig has become like the standard where I judge all knives on. Before it used to be Chris Reeve knives, but now I've kind of made that jump into Koenig, because Koenig knives, man, they're doing everything right themselves, man. They're also, I think, a smaller outfit. Maybe they might be a little bigger than Oz, but they're not like Spyderco or anything like that, right? But they don't cut any corners. They are doing everything right. And so I would say, like, the Oz Machine Company, Koenig knives, Craig Brown knives, they're all up there. They're all up there. They're doing their thing. You could tell that they really love what they're doing. They really care about their products. They care about the community. Another shout out I want to give is HMC Knives, man, over there, Jim Vandervelt, man. I've never interacted with him, but honestly, he seems to have a really, really good presence. Seems to be someone that really cares about his products, really cares about the community. I've never seen someone as engaged with the community as Jim, you know, and just really caring about taking care of his customers, you know. And so I've seen several conversations where someone wanted to modify, upgrade, or just get their knives fixed, and Jim has been super responsive, and actually had a transient 3.2 subliner in my collection at one point. It's a phenomenal knife. Just wasn't for me. It was a little too light, but I'm definitely I definitely want to try their full titanium transient, because I think that would really be the sweet spot for me. In terms of the quality craftsmanship, man, it's just on point. I'll say it's up there, you know, with Koenig, with Oz. He's doing everything right, you know. And I hope he stays around for a long time, because we need more people like that, who actually care, who actually are engaged with the community. But yeah, I know this is all over the place. You know, I wasn't gonna be doing a review, but really just want to talk about how I really love and appreciate the Oz Roosevelt. Yeah, this knife is just EDC perfection, I'd say, you know. Let me just give you a little closer visual. Look at that. It is like so shiny. So it's kind of blingy, but very monochromatic, right? As you can see. Yeah, it feels so good in the hand. Very good in the hand. Slick, but not so slick where it's gonna slip out of my hands. It feels so good. You know, I could kind of, you know, go back and actually get all 4 fingers on the handle if I don't use that 4-finger choil. It is a little bit cramped. I do wear medium-sized gloves, but this is money right here. This is money right here. I could do this all day long. But there you go, just my random thoughts, just all over the place. It's interesting kind of like where the knife market is right now. This is of March 2025. It seems like things are cooling down a little bit. I see knives that would usually sell super fast, they're kind of staying on the shelf for a bit longer. And it may be, you know, a sign of the economy. I think the economy itself is kind of going through a tough kind of a, you know, a season. I know in terms of my job and things like that, there's, you know, definitely been a lot of question marks, and I know the federal government employees have, a lot of them been laid off. And so I think the knife market kind of is a sign, and reflects the economy. You know, people are not really trying to spend so much money right now, especially on a pocket knife. And so, you know, I do see it slowing down a little bit, but like the economy, we have the ups and downs, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, anyways, another random rabbit hole. Yeah, this knife is phenomenal. I can't say it enough. This knife is such a phenomenal knife. Yeah, man. Anyways, would love to hear your thoughts, your comments. Drop them down below. If you like what you're watching, feel free to subscribe and give me a thumbs up. With that being said, I will catch you guys later. Take care.